Congratulations on winning our corporate lottery. The director's voice boomed throughout the real estate agency. James Foster and Elizabeth Clark, you've won a 2-week Caribbean cruise. I looked at Elizabeth, my mother-in-law and colleague. She looked as stunned as I was. It all started a month ago when our agency launched the pair mentoring program. Experienced realtors were paired with newcomers for better productivity. And of course, Elizabeth, as the best luxury real estate specialist, was paired with me. Funny how it turned out, I laughed nervously. Of all pairs, it had to be us. Indeed, Elizabeth adjusted her glasses. Sarah will be thrilled. Sarah, my wife and her daughter, who's currently in Europe at a 3-month medical conference. The tickets are non-transferable and dates are fixed. The director handed us the envelopes. Departure in 2 weeks. But, I began. No buts. You've earned this vacation. Your pair showed the best results. That evening I called Sarah. That's amazing. Her voice rang with joy. Too bad I can't go. We have our final week of research then. Maybe we could postpone the cruise? The tickets can't be transferred. I could hear her shuffling through some papers. You know what? Go with Mom. What? What's wrong with that? You work together anyway, and it would be a shame to miss such an opportunity. Are you sure? Of course. Mom hasn't been anywhere since the divorce. She needs to get out. I looked at my mother-in-law's photo on the agency's website. After her divorce 2 years ago, she had really changed. Lost weight, got a haircut, completely updated her wardrobe. At 45, she looked 35 at most. Okay, I agreed, if you're not against it. What are you talking about? It's Mom. What could go wrong? If only she knew. The next day, I approached Elizabeth's desk. Sarah suggests we go together, I said, since she can't. Elizabeth looked up from her computer. Are you joking? No, she thinks you need a vacation. Son-in-law and mother-in-law on a romantic cruise? Sounds like the beginning of a joke. Come on, it'll be fun, as colleagues. She looked at me thoughtfully. You know what? Why not? After all, we're adults. Back then, we didn't know just how adult this journey would turn out to be. The ship was enormous, a real floating city. Our cabins were on the same deck, but at opposite ends of the corridor. Wow! Elizabeth whistled when we entered her cabin. There's even a jacuzzi here. I tried not to look at her long legs exposed by her summer dress. Lately, I'd been catching myself stealing such glances more often. I have one too. I put down her suitcase. See you at dinner? Of course, just need to change. At dinner, we were seated at a table for couples. The waiter brought champagne without asking. To a romantic evening, he winked. We're not, Elizabeth began. Just colleagues, I finished. But for some reason, we both blushed. The champagne was excellent. After the second glass, conversation flowed more easily. You know, she said, I never thought I'd be on a cruise with a young man at 45. I'm 35, I smiled. Not that young. For me, yes, she looked at me in a new way. Although the difference isn't so noticeable now, is it? True. In her form-fitting evening dress, she looked stunning. The next few days flew by. We sunbathed by the pool together, went on excursions, danced at parties. People took us for a couple, and somehow this no longer bothered us. Shall we dance? I asked on the third evening when the orchestra started playing a slow melody. What would Sarah say? She playfully raised an eyebrow. That her mom moves really well. We twirled in the dance, and I could feel the warmth of her body, the scent of her perfume, a slight tremor when my hand slid across her back. James, she whispered, we shouldn't. What? Look at each other like this. She was right. Something was changing between us, slowly but inevitably. That evening, I stood in the shower for a long time, trying to get the image of Elizabeth in her swimsuit by the pool out of my head. It wasn't helping. On the 5th day, we hit a storm. The ship was rocking. Can I come in? She knocked on my cabin door at night. I'm getting dizzy from the motion. I let her in. She was in a silk robe, her hair tousled. Want a drink? Yes. We sat on the balcony, sipping whiskey and watching the raging sea. Beautiful, she said. Yes, I replied, looking not at the sea but at her. She caught my gaze, and something changed in the air. More whiskey? I asked, trying to ease the tension. No, she stood up. I should go. But she didn't move. Just stood there, looking at me with a strange expression. Her robe had slightly parted, revealing her collarbone. Elizabeth. Shh, she pressed her finger to my lips. Don't say anything, just... And suddenly we were kissing. Hungrily. Desperately. As if we'd been waiting for this forever. Her lips were soft with a taste of whiskey. Her hand slid under my t-shirt. "We shouldn't," I whispered. "I know," she pressed closer to me, "but I want you. I've been going crazy for days." "But what about—" "Forget it. Here, in the middle of the ocean, we're just a man and a woman, nothing more." Her robe fell to the floor. In the moonlight, we forgot about all prohibitions and conventions. The ship's rocking, the sound of waves outside, the dim light of the cabin created some special, intoxicating atmosphere. Reality dissolved, leaving just the two of us in this enclosed space in the middle of the ocean. Time stopped, and this night seemed like it would last forever. We dissolved into each other, forgetting everything in the world about consequences and morality. At this moment, there were only us and our forbidden passion. "What are you thinking about?" she asked later, as we lay in the darkness. "That I'm the ultimate scoundrel." "Why? Because I just slept with my wife's mother?" She turned to me. "Do you regret it?" "No, and that's what scares me the most." "I don't regret it either." She traced her finger across my chest. "You know how many years it's been since I felt so alive?" "What about Sarah?" "Let's not talk about her, not now." And we were kissing again, forgetting everything in the world. At dawn, she went back to her cabin. I stood in the shower for a long time, but the feeling of guilt wouldn't wash away. Yet the desire only grew stronger. At breakfast, we carefully avoided looking at each other. "Island excursion in an hour," the captain's assistant reminded us. "Shall we go?" Elizabeth asked. Of course. We both knew this wouldn't be just an excursion. The island was small and almost deserted. We accidentally fell behind the group and found a secluded bay. "There's no one here," Elizabeth whispered, hugging my waist. The secluded bay became our secret refuge from the world. The sound of waves, hot sand, the deserted beach created an illusion that we were alone in the universe. Time lost meaning. Reality remained somewhere far away, beyond the horizon. The following days merged into one endless moment of passion. We sought solitude at every opportunity, trying to satiate ourselves with each other. Every secluded corner of the ship held our secret meetings. It was as if we were trying to live an entire lifetime in these short cruise days. "You drive me crazy," she whispered when I kissed her neck in the elevator. "And you drive me crazy. Never thought a woman at 45 could be so what? Passionate, insatiable, incredible." One morning I woke up to a phone call. "Sarah, how's the vacation?" My wife's voice sounded cheerful and happy. "Great." I looked at Elizabeth sleeping beside me. "Everything's just great." "And how's Mom? Having fun?" "Yes, she's very happy with the cruise." After the call, I sat on the balcony for a long time. Elizabeth came up behind me, embraced me. "What are you thinking about?" "That we're doing something terrible." "I know." She kissed my shoulder. "But isn't it beautiful?" The morning sun found us on the balcony, where we met the dawn, intoxicated with each other and our own recklessness. The days on the ship merged into one endless moment of passion and oblivion. We created our own world within the space of our cabins, avoiding the company of other passengers, as if afraid to destroy the special atmosphere that had developed between us. Every minute apart seemed lost. Every meeting turned into a small eternity. "You know," she said one night, "I'm starting to fall in love with you." "Don't." "Why?" "Because in 3 days the cruise ends, and we'll return to reality." "What if I don't want to return?" I looked at her. "We don't have a choice." "There's always a choice," she pressed against me. "You just need the courage to make it." The last night of the cruise became special. We couldn't sleep, knowing that each minute brought us closer to returning to reality. We talked, remembered every moment of this journey, tried to memorize every instant of our intimacy. Dawn found us in each other's arms, unwilling to let go of these last hours of our forbidden happiness. "I'll miss you," she whispered. "We see each other every day at work." "It's different. There will be son-in-law and mother-in-law again." I kissed her. "Let's just remember these 2 weeks, like a beautiful dream." She nodded, but I saw tears in her eyes. The first workday after the cruise was strange. We carefully avoided each other, communicating only about work. "How was your vacation?" colleagues asked. "Wonderful," Elizabeth answered, not looking at me. Sarah returned a week later, tanned and happy. "Tell me how you spent your time," she demanded at the family dinner. "The usual," Elizabeth shrugged. "Sunbathing, swimming." "That's all." Sarah looked disappointed. "What about romances? Intrigues? Mom, you're so beautiful, surely someone must have tried to court you." I choked on my wine. No, Elizabeth didn't even blink. Nothing like that. Life seemed to be returning to normal. But sometimes, when alone in the office, we exchanged such glances that the air crackled. A month later, Elizabeth stopped coming to work. "Mom's sick," Sarah said. "Some kind of stomach flu." I knew I should stay away, but I couldn't resist. I drove to her house after work. "What happened?" I asked when she opened the door. Elizabeth looked pale and frightened. "I'm pregnant," she said quietly. The world swayed. "Are you sure?" 3 tests, and the doctor confirmed it. "But how?" "Seriously?" She laughed nervously. "After everything that happened on the cruise, you're asking how?" I sat on the couch feeling weak in my knees. "And what are we going to do?" "I don't know." She sat next to me. "Really don't know." "Maybe abortion?" "I'm 45, James. This could be my last chance." "You want to keep it?" "I don't know." She started crying. "How will I explain this to Sarah? To everyone else? What if we say it's from someone else?" "From whom? I'm not dating anyone. Everyone knows that." "Damn. I'm keeping the baby," Elizabeth said after a long silence. "But—" "No buts. My body, my decision." I looked at her, pale, determined, beautiful, and realized I had fallen in love, really in love. "Then I'll leave Sarah." "What?" She turned to me sharply. "What else can I do? I can't let you go through this alone." "Are you crazy? This will destroy everything." "And your pregnancy won't?" She thought for a moment. "I have an idea. I'll leave. Tell everyone I got a job in Europe." "And the baby?" "I'll say I met someone there. No one will know the truth." "And you're ready to raise our child alone?" "I don't have a choice." There's always a choice." I took her hand. "Remember you said that yourself on the cruise? This is different." "No, it's not. I love you, Elizabeth." She started crying. "Don't say that." "Why?" "Because I love you too, and that only makes everything more complicated." We sat in the darkness, holding hands. Outside, rain was starting. "Give me time," she finally said. "A week. I need to think everything through." "Okay, but know this, I'm ready to give up everything for you and the baby. And I'm not ready to destroy my daughter's life." I left in the rain, with a heavy heart and confused thoughts. A week later, Elizabeth sent a message, "Come over, I've made my decision." I stared at the phone, unable to reply. Dozens of possible outcomes were spinning in my head. Which one would become reality? Everything depended on how I would answer this message. Did you like this story? Let us know in the comments what you liked. Subscribe to our storytelling podcast. Also, don't forget to like and ring the bell so you don't miss more interesting stories. See you soon.